Welcome everyone to the event, the virtual book launch of Hidden Treasure, Finding God in Unexpected Places. Thank you all for being here. And so now to begin our event, we will be featuring a short video, The Beginnings of God's Calling of the author Gladys Acuña Guitz. The video will be followed by today's agenda for our event. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video.
Gladys and Elizabeth are two Christian women from Guatemala. Guatemala is located in Central America, just below Mexico. And Potter's House began with a simple favor from friends in the US to go to the garbage dump on Christmas Eve and give out blankets in the name of Jesus Christ. The garbage dump in Guatemala City is one of the largest in Latin America. Going there was the last thing Gladys and Elizabeth wanted to do on Christmas Eve. The area was considered high risk, but they decided to do it anyway. When they got there, they were shocked. It was a raw and heartbreaking experience, a place where the odor, dirt, and misery were evident. Gladys thought, I'm doing this as a favor. This will be the first and last time I will come here. However, God's plan was different. They came back the next year and 1,000 people came. The third year, 2,000 people came. And the year after, 3,000 people came and they had a medical volunteer. Eventually, Elizabeth left the ministry, but God put it on Gladys's heart to continue serving, and not just on Christmas Eve. The work was hard and many people joined to serve. God provided land where Potter's House began to operate its 5 programs: family development, education, health and nutrition, micro-enterprise, and community development. People from around the world have joined in the work as volunteers, donors, and sponsors. Week by week, month by month, and year by year, God has continued to change this place.
Once again, everyone, welcome to the virtual book launch of Hidden Treasure, Finding God in Unexpected Places. I'm Mildred Espinosa de Mancia, and I have the pleasure of being the moderator for this afternoon's event. I am delighted now to share this afternoon with Gladys Acuña Guitz, who is the co-founder of Potter's House, but also the author of this amazing book, Hidden Treasure, Finding God in Unexpected Places. Gladys, welcome.
Thank you, Mildred. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, friends and family who join us to celebrate God's faithfulness. We have seen his mighty miracles during 35 years, and part of this celebration is to launch the book, Hidden Treasures, Finding God in Unexpected Places. We hope you will enjoy this celebration to the Lord who deserves all the glory.
Fantastic. Welcome again, Gladys. Such a pleasure to be sharing with you this afternoon. And before we continue, we would like to invite you, everyone, to not just to make comments and to put them in the chat, and also to send questions. And later on in the event, we will let you know where Gladys will be answering to your questions and also to any comments. So let's get started, Gladys. So what inspired you to write this book?
What inspired me to write this book, I was one day that I asked the Lord, God, what do you have for me in the years ahead? And he gave me Psalm 71, verse 18. And now that I am old and gray, don't forsake me. Give me time to tell these new generations and the children's too about all your mighty miracle. God answered me to understand in that moment, but I didn't know exactly what he wanted me to do it. Just I hear, tell the next generation, your mighty God, your mighty deeds. So he gave me that idea, that calling to start writing a book. And that's why the book started. I recount the story of Potter's House, how the Lord has changed the lives of many people who had been working there. And also, Hidden Treasure is a testimony of the power of God use the ordinary people to do extraordinary things for his glory.
And that's really amazing, Gladys, when you talk about how God uses us for his glory. In the book, you really talk about transformation and calling. So what can we learn about understanding God's calling in our lives?
I think we can understand that God has a purpose for our life. It is very important to understand that because God has shaped us with the skills, with abilities, and he has a plan for everybody to work in his kingdom. He also wants us to understand that calling because if not, other people will control us. We will finish doing the plans of others and not God's plan for our lives. You could be a mom, a teacher, a doctor, a missionary, a preacher, wherever the Lord has shaped you to call and be salt and light in this world to extend his kingdom. For example, I remember when Lisbeth and I decided to follow this calling, people thought that we were so crazy why we start doing that. But I am glad that I didn't please people and I pleased God, which is more important. The Bible also said that Jesus said, God, you did not choose me, but I chose you. So I think God is the one who called us to do certain things in this world.
And absolutely, when you speak of change and what God has done for you, you've been working for 35 years in Guatemala's garbage dump. And it changed. It changed your perception of poverty, but you also adapted. How has the transformation helped to reach the hidden treasures with a more strategic approach?
The first thing that the Lord has taught me is to understand that God has a heart for the poor. You can find in the Bible many verses that talk about his heart toward the poor people. And this is not optional, it's an order that he's giving us. And we need to be generous with a grateful hearts and be generous with our talents, time, and treasure. We need to understand also that even though they live in those circumstances, they have value and dignity because they have been created by God. So that's why we call them treasures. They have God's image. We have learned also that the good news of salvation, we need to share with them. The change came from inside to outside. When we start working with people in poverty, the first thing that we do is start working with when the people are in poverty, economical poverty. But Potter's House have found 8 forms of poverty. We see each people in a holistic way. And we also have created 5 programs who have helping the people, and also a methodology who help our beneficiaries, first of all, to know the Lord, and also to grow. We create a methodology, development, empower, and multiplication, because we want the people to be self-sustained and they can help others, they can help their family, community, and nation. And we want them to trust in the Lord, to depend on him, and not in an organization, neither a person.
And when you speak of trusting the Lord, Gladys, you also make a point in the book in using verses. And you've mentioned yourself that there's a verse that has given you purpose. Which is that verse and why?
The verse that the Lord has given me is in Psalm 92, verses 12 to 15. But the godly will flourish like palm trees and grow strong like the cedars of Lebanon. For they are transplanted to the Lord's own house. They flourish in the courts of God. Even in old age, they will still produce fruit. They will remain vital and green. They will declare, the Lord is just. He is my rock. There is no evil in him. I don't have the same energy that I had when I was young. And I think in my age, many people start thinking it's time to retire and my life is not worthy anymore. But the Lord has given me this verse. Gladys, I continue having plans for your life. And also I want you to be like this a tree, like a seed, the tree of cedars, who can be fruitful even at the old age.
And when you say that, it definitely brings to mind, the book has made such a good point of understanding that the lead characters in this book, God, Potter's House, and the Hidden Treasures. But they're also, how would you describe them, the champions that have allowed you all these years to work with Potter's House and to accomplish also your book? Who are those champions?
Those champions are the volunteers. We call at Potter's House servants because that's why the Lord has called us to serve him. We couldn't do the work by ourselves. In fact, Potter's House started through volunteers. Lisbeth and I were the first volunteers, and then we invite more people to join us. So we appreciate each of the people who has been not just volunteers or servants and part of the staff. I think there are people here in this event who gave his life to serve the Lord. So thank you so much for all your work. And especially today, we want to invite a family that we met in 2008. The whole family had get involved in the ministry, and it's a blessing to see how the Lord have transformed their lives. And they are serving not here in Guatemala, but also in their country.
Absolutely. And now, Gladys, that you mentioned that volunteerism is a pillar of social sustainability, particularly for all these institutions like Potter's House. Volunteers are the courageous souls that are willing to step out of their comfort zones, to volunteer, to work with institutions like they've done so at Potter's House for so many years. And as Gladys just mentioned, it started out with 2 volunteers. Well, today we have the pleasure of inviting to our conversation Susan Hutton, who's administrator of Beyond the Walls, and she's that courageous soul that has been volunteering at Potter's House since the summer of 2008. Susan, welcome. Susan, if you can turn on your microphone. We're still not hearing you, but we're getting through it.
Do you have it now?
There we go. Thank you, Susan.
The host
This is part of virtual reality. And so these are some of the things that we all have to work through. So welcome again, Susan, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and what a pleasure it is to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So Susan, you have been, and it was such a pleasure reading your story and how you've participated at Potter's House for so long. So how did you begin volunteering at Potter's House?
Well, it started off, our church ran a missions trip a couple of times to Potter's House. And at the time, my daughter, who was 13 and so was old enough to go on the trip, wanted to go very badly. And but she had to have a parent with her at the time to go. So my husband went with her. And at the time, I was very happy to stay home and be in my comfort zone and send them off and pray for them and tell them to have a good time. And then they came home. And the change that I saw in both of them was remarkable. And it didn't just fade away, it stayed with them. And after seeing the impact that serving there had on them, I couldn't wait to go myself.
Susan, you speak of, and certainly you also gave your review of the book. And in your book, you talk about how God has transformed your life, stepping out of that comfort zone so that we can allow God to trust in him so that he can transform us. So how did volunteering at Potter's House change your life and that of your families as well?
I think probably the main thing that Potter's House has done and serving there was shifting our priorities. When we are there, it's the most wonderful place to be. And then when we come home, our whole perspective on home changed and changes. Our needs versus our wants. What's important and what's really not that important. How to serve others in our own communities, because Gladys just alluded to the different forms of poverty. And although we don't see the financial poverty where we live to the extent that we see in Guatemala City, we see lots of other forms of poverty every day in our community. And Potter's House has educated us to identify those and also how to help serve people in those particular forms of poverty that they might be experiencing.
And through that experience that you speak of, so what can the book teach us about service and transformation? What did you learn about service? And what have your children also learned about service and your husband as well?
I think just being willing to say, Lord, here am I, send me. I'm not sure what you've got planned or what it's going to look like or even how to do it. But if you trust that God has a plan in that servanthood, he's going to accomplish it. Might look different than you think it is going to, but he always has a plan. And if you're willing to follow him, whether it's all the way to Guatemala City or whether it's just to your next door neighbor, to serve people and to look for their needs above your own, it's life-changing for them. But I have found, and our whole family has found, that it's more life-changing for us. And that's an old picture. They're all grown up now, and we have grandchildren and all kinds of things. And we've had in-law children who have gone to Potter's House. And so it's just been a joy to see how their experiences growing up influence their life choices in their vocations and their ministries.
And you also have a great story also behind it. You've sponsored a child as well here in Guatemala. Talk to us about that.
We have sponsored numerous children over the years, and they are like our own kids. I could walk my computer around to my refrigerator and show you their pictures hanging there. But the thing that's different about sponsoring a child through Potter's House versus perhaps through another organization is we get to really have a relationship with them. And we look forward to seeing them year after year. It's been really hard these 2 summers because of COVID, not being able to interact with their families, but we correspond with them. And through the miracle of Zoom meetings, we've been able to see them on the computer. And just building a relationship with those kids over the year and watching them grow up, we really feel like they are part of our family. They're our children just as much as our flesh and blood kids are.
And it's beautiful to see those images that we've been able to see as you speak of you sharing with your family, you sharing with these children that you sponsor, children that are now growing up and that have really made great progress in their lives and their education, thanks to those opportunities that you have embraced. And with that said, there's a chapter in the book, and I specifically wanted to get there because it really reflected to me and it brought to my attention your story of volunteerism. And it says, An Unexpected Blessing. That's the title of that chapter. So what was your unexpected blessing, Susan?
I think the unexpected blessing for me is, it's hard to just pick one, but the relationships that we've built with the people down there whether they're staff of Potter's House, whether they're sponsor kids and their families, or whether they're just people that we've been able to meet because we built a home for them or serve them in a soccer clinic or whatever. But those relationships have just been so impactful in our lives, especially seeing the faith of some of these people in the hardest circumstances. It's been such a bolster to our own faith. We come away thinking that their faith is so incredible, despite the conditions in which they live. And that has just been such a blessing to know that God can speak to people even in such horrible places and circumstances and meet them, and they have joy and they smile and they are filled with his peace. That's just such an encouragement.
I'm sure it's an encouragement. And in fact, I want to read this verse to you, and so that we can get your remarks from this verse. It's Matthew 10:42, and it says, "And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to any one of these little ones, because he's my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward." What are your thoughts, Susan?
Well, my first thoughts when I hear the word little ones are the beautiful children that we see down there, and they are just so precious. So it's easy to love those little ones. Sometimes we see people on our trips to Guatemala and in our own hometowns that maybe aren't as precious looking to us. Maybe they're not the beautiful little ones that we see pictures of, but God has commanded us to give them cold water too. And he has commanded us to love them and serve them despite maybe the way they look on the outside. And Potter's House and serving there has helped us to understand that people are treasures, no matter what they look like on the outside or what their condition of their life is. They are God's treasures made in his image, and we're called to serve them.
Absolutely. And it couldn't be more of a better leader in this case with Gladys, as she began as a volunteer doing the work that she's been doing for the past 35 years. What are your closing remarks for Susan?
Susie, thank you so much for your time, for the way that you have challenged us to leave our comfort zone and to see how your family has been transformed. And to God be the glory for what he has done in your life. Thank you so much for being here with us and celebrating God's faithful.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you for your time, and thank you for participating in our conversation this afternoon. And certainly it's been a pleasure to put a face together with such an amazing story of the work that you're doing, have been doing, and I'm sure will continue to do for Guatemala. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And now, Gladys, there are also other courageous souls that have been around at Potter's House for the last 25 years that you want to be able to thank for the work that they've been doing. And so we've put together a video because there is another special guest that we wanted to leave for this moment, so that we could talk a little bit about not only the work that he's done, but certainly the gratitude. And so let's watch the video. Gladys, when you're looking, I see you, and when you're looking at those images, I'm sure it brings a lot of warm thoughts because of the work of that special person that you have there, Edgar, Mr. Edgar Guitz, who is with us. And I know this was a surprise for you, but we really wanted to take the time. And so this is now your moment.
Okay. Well, I hope I will say for working with me 25 years, serving the Lord. I admire you. The Lord has given you a lot of abilities, skills, and you always have encouraged me to serve the Lord. And he was the first champion encouraging me to write this story. And of course, his insights helped me a lot. We met Edgar as a volunteer in 19 before, and he started as a staff of Porter's House in 1994. And then the leadership and the Lord called him to be the director, the executive director in 1996. And we served together as directors for 15 years. And I wanted to express this gratitude on behalf of the Lord. He put in my heart to do this, and on behalf of Porter's House. You came to help us to organize the ministry. There is a chapter, by the way, there is a chapter how we met each other with Edgar. I recommend you to read that. And I met him in an unexpected place. When I decided to serve the Lord, a lady told me, Gladys, are you sure you want to serve in that place? Because I was single that time, because no man is going to change you in that place. But the Lord provide a person who have walked with me for those years. And also we have a chapter that we say that it's not just passion, it's not just vision. I think when we start with vision and we want to serve, but we don't understand also that we need to organize a ministry in order to be more efficient serving others. So thank you so much, my amor. Thank you so much for this time.
Oh, what a surprise. I was not in the program, so it has been a privilege for me to serve the Lord and to meet my wife there. So we can say the part of our love story is the garbage dump. So for me, was a great time to spend 25 years of my life in this ministry. And I'm joining in this celebration, and for the Lord could be the glory.
Thank you, Edgar.
Thank you very much, Edgar. Such heartwarming words from your wife, of course, but also from the work that you've done, which is very visible in learning not just through the book, but certainly after seeing also, having had the pleasure to visit Potter's House. It really is. So much congratulations to you for your leadership and for the time that you provided to lead them, as Gladys said, to put them in order and really allow them to move forward with those plans that God had for all of you. So congratulations, and thank you for allowing us to surprise you this afternoon.
Yeah,
and thank you for inviting me after this event for dinner.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And so Gladys, what is the next chapter? What is the next phase for Gladys in what you're doing? You've written a book. What will be the next chapter in your life?
Well, after serving the Lord for 35 years and watching how he has prospered and blessed many people, I don't want to limit God. I am in a position now that I say, okay, God, I would like to be like Mary, Jesus' mother said, I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled. I want to continue following the Lord. And God is open doors for continue writing, helping the people, helping raising awareness to serve the people in poverty and share with others what we have learned during these 35 years. And also I would like to continue participating in the discipleship program at Porter's House. I say that maybe I have done not all of the roles at Porter's House, but I think it was my time to serve in different areas. But I love to be with the people. I love to share about Jesus Christ, how the people can learn about to grow and to know his word. So this is one of the things that I would like to continue doing. And I will share more about in my webpage. I will share more about what the Lord is calling me to do.
And with that said, we would like to invite you to learn about Gladys's new platform, GladysWitz.com. Let's watch. So Gladys, very exciting, a new platform, a new chapter, a new opportunity. And by the way, we mentioned earlier on in the show that Gladys will be responding to any questions that you might have written in the chat, any comments, and she will be posting those answers as well as putting those remarks to your comments also in her new website. And so we'd like to invite everyone to visit GladysWitz.com. And Gladys, before we end with today's event, any last words that you have?
Well, as I talk in one of the chapters, a failure become a calling. You never know how God used the small things to do big things for his glory. And Potter's House is not the only place where God can shape you, but you must be brave enough to put yourself in his hands in a situation in which transformation can occur. Be alert and ask yourself, what is my Potter's house? Where is God leading me? What is keeping me from going there? I encourage you to look for the book and read it, and I can continue sharing with you all the lessons that I have been learning. By the way, writing this book was a way for me to see how God used my talents. I am not a writer, but the Lord provide people who help me in this process. So don't be afraid. I thought I was learning everything in my life, but I think God continue stretching our minds to do his will. And I also want to say thank you to Mildred Espinosa, who has walked with me during this time. I have been learning. It's the first time that I am doing this, but if God is calling me to do, he provides for everything. So thank you, Mildred, for helping me. And thank you to the staff of EBLA who has helping me. And thank you to Gladys. We say in Spanish, mi tocaya. I admire Gladys Teos Molina because she also started a ministry in the garbage dump in Puerto Barrios, a place in Guatemala City. And yesterday she called me, and Gladys, I want to contribute and to be the translator. And I appreciate Gladys for helping us in this. So God bless you. Thank you so much. And I am happy that you enjoy this celebration to the Lord.
Fantastic, Gladys, and it's been such a pleasure to have spent this time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your encouraging words, very inspirational, but also throughout this time and allowing also myself to be transformed through your book.
Mm-hmm.
It really has been amazing to have read such an inspirational book that can certainly help all of us transform and by answering God's calling in our lives.
Amen.
And so, but before we go, and Gladys had mentioned, anyone who's interested in obtaining the book, right in your screen right now, you can see the two locations for those that are living currently in Guatemala, where the locations where you can have the book, where you can purchase the book. And so take a screenshot, take your phone, take a picture, but you have that information, or you can also visit GladysWitz.com and you can purchase the book directly from her new platform. Thank you all very much. And so I want to take the time now to thank everyone for participating in this event. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Susan Hutton, thank you for your time and participation, and certainly for also teaching us through your volunteerism of what it's like giving others, and especially coming out of your comfort zones to give others and to serve others. We also want to invite anyone who's interested also in serving, in being a volunteer, and certainly taking the example not only from Gladys, but also from Susan. And you can do it you can find out more information at serve@pottershouse.org.gt. We'll put it in the chat for anyone who wants to find out about volunteering at Potter's House. And with that said, again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon at the virtual book launch of Hidden Treasure, Finding God in Unexpected Places. I'm Mildred Espinosa de Mancia. Thank you. Until next time.